Hey y'all, this is part 6 of the Traveler's Gift. I know I've been absent for a while and I want to own up to why. I feel guilty about not finishing this series 2 months ago, but before I get into that, let me share some real talk with you guys, because I love being open and honest, and you guys allow me to do that, so thanks. First of all, this is fresh face. I'm going to put on my makeup while we're talking because I got a lot going on and I need to get a couple things done. But I wanted to share with you that sometimes when life gets hard, I tend to withdraw a little bit. I actually withdraw a lot. I don't want to put myself out there when I'm not feeling like life's in a great place. I've been dealing with some stuff, and yeah, because of that reason, I just haven't been showing up. So I'm trying to change that, because for us to get anywhere, we have to show up for ourselves no matter what, every day. And if I'm going to ask you guys to do that when you're in a harder spot than I'm in, then I better set a good example. So this is me showing up, being vulnerable, and letting you know that I'm in a tough spot. But my tough spot does not define me. So I'm going to be showing up every day, especially for the people who need a change in their life, and have decided to come along with me on this journey. So back to the book. In this section of the Traveler's Gift, David has just visited with Anne Frank, and she has taught him the 5th lesson, and he time travels again, and this time he wakes up in a tent with a dirt floor, and he's the only one in the tent, but he can hear things outside. So he peers out and he sees someone at a podium speaking, and the person speaking is speaking to what looks like a bunch of soldiers. And he watches and listens, and when the speaker is done speaking, he comes into the tent and addresses David by name, and the speaker turns out to be Abraham Lincoln. So they have a long conversation, and in that conversation, David figures out that he's in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Lincoln's given the Gettysburg Address. Now remember that during David's journey, this is actually the 2nd time he's been in Gettysburg. But this time he's clearly in a different time period, and he's with Abraham Lincoln. So they have a long conversation, longer than some of the other ones. It's particularly good, and Lincoln shares some vulnerabilities with him, one of which is he doesn't love to be in the spotlight. But he feels like he's in the spot he's in because God has purpose for him. And that is to speak truth when the truth is hard to say, much less to hear. There's some really good quotes in this part of the book, so I want to share some of those with you now. But before we get to that, I do want to remind you that, or tell you that Abraham Lincoln establishes himself to David as someone that God is working through. So keep that in mind when you hear these quotes. Abraham Lincoln tells David that sometimes doing his job makes him very uncomfortable because he's not really an extrovert. He's kind of he doesn't use the word extrovert. I think we came up with that word recently. But he's not comfortable with all the public speaking and everything. So one of the quotes is that as children, we're afraid of the dark, but as adults, we become afraid of the light. We're afraid to step out. We're afraid to become more. But how can we lead others to a destination when we've not reached that destination ourselves? Keep searching for a sign. I'm urging you to see the light that you seem so far in the distance. It'll be worth your journey. So I thought that was really great. A couple of other quotes, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but a couple of other quotes is, God rarely uses a person whose main concern is what others are thinking. Another quote, sooner or later, every man of character will have that character questioned. Every man of honor will be faced with unjust criticism, but never forget that unjust criticism has no impact whatsoever on the truth. One surefire way to avoid criticism is to do nothing and be nothing. How powerful is that? If you don't want to be criticized, then do nothing. because if you do something, you surely will be criticized. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And honestly, just my 2 cents worth, we really shouldn't worry about what other people think, especially when we're doing something they've never tried to do before. Here's another truth that is in the book that I just could not ignore, and it says, don't be discouraged by the people you might choose for your team who talk big but produce little. Isn't that something? Just don't be concerned about it. He spends quite a lot of time talking about forgiveness, which I think is really helpful. I know I've got some forgiving to do, and perhaps you do too. But he talks about how having a mindset of forgiveness frees us up. So if you have the book, or if you get the book, take a close look at page 130. Abraham Lincoln then tells David that he's at a critical point in his life's race, and he says, quote, there exists a person to whom your forgiveness has been withheld for far too long. By the limited authority that I have been granted as your host for this short time, I must now warn you that without a forgiving spirit, your effectiveness as a husband, father, and leader will be limited. The touchstone that will bring your dreams into reality is forgiveness. So that brings us to the 6th decision for David's success and all of our success, and I quote, I will greet each day with a forgiving spirit. So I'm going to read to you the last couple of pages of the book, which is all about the forgiving spirit. Okay, so y'all know I changed venues. I'm not in the bathroom anymore. Now I'm in the office, and I'm reading from the book. The 6th decision for success. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. For too long, every ounce of forgiveness I owned was locked away, hidden from view, waiting for me to bestow its precious presence upon some worthy person. Alas, I found most people to be singularly unworthy of my valuable forgiveness, and since they never asked for any, I kept it all for myself. Now, the forgiveness that I hoarded has sprouted inside of my heart like a crippled seed yielding bitter fruit. No more. At this moment, my life has taken on new hope and assurance. Of all the world's population, I am one of the few possessors of the secret to dissipating anger and resentment. I now understand that forgiveness has value only when it is given away. By the simple act of granting forgiveness, I release the demons of the past about which I can do nothing and create in myself a new heart, a new beginning. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive even those who don't ask for forgiveness. Many are the times when I have seethed in anger at a word or deed thrown into my life by an unthinking or uncaring person. I have wasted valuable hours imagining revenge or confrontation. Now I see the truth revealed about this psychological rock inside of my shoe. The rage I nurture is often one-sided, for my offender seldom gives thought to his offense. I will now and forevermore silently offer my forgiveness even to those who do not see that they need it. By the act of forgiving, I am no longer consumed by unproductive thoughts. I give up my bitterness. I am content in my soul and effective again with all my fellow men. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive those who criticize me unjustly. Knowing that slavery in any form is wrong, I also know that the person who lives a life according to the opinion of others is a slave. I'm not a slave. I've chosen my counsel. I know the difference between right and wrong. I know what is best for the future of my family, and neither misguided opinion nor unjust criticism will alter my course. Those who are critical of my goals and dreams simply don't understand the higher purpose to which I've been called. Therefore, their scorn does not affect my attitude or actions. I forgive their lack of vision and I forge ahead. I now know that criticism is part of the price paid for leaping past mediocrity. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive myself. For many years, my greatest enemy has been myself. Every mistake, every miscalculation, every stumble I made has been replayed again and again in my mind. Every broken promise, every day wasted, every goal not reached has compounded the disgust I feel for the lack of achievement in my life. My dismay has developed a paralyzing grip. When I disappoint myself, I respond with inaction and become more disappointed. I realize today that it's impossible to fight an enemy living in my head. By forgiving myself, I erase the doubts, fears, and frustrations that have kept my past in the present. From this day forward, my history will cease to control my destiny. I have forgiven myself. My life has just begun. I will forgive even those who do not ask for forgiveness. I will forgive those who criticize me unjustly. I will forgive myself. I will greet this day with a forgiving heart. So that is part 6 of the Traveler's Gift. I encourage you to get the book. As you can see, I've had it forever. We are almost finished with it. I think there's going to be 2 or 3 more parts to this series, and then we'll be done with this book. Buy the book, read it, devour it, love on it, let it love on you. Have a great day, everybody.